put up all their sports update. Matinee baseball today saw the Guardians beat up on the Kansas City Royals 10-2. Angel Martinez hit a grand slam in the 8th inning to seal the game. Joey Cantillo picked up the win. They'll return to the Diamond Friday in Atlanta. The Cincinnati Reds are riding a 5-game win streak tonight into Miami as they take on the Marlins. Brady Singer is set to take the mound for the Redlegs, taking on Yuri Perez. First pitch is at 6:40. Catch the action over on the Fan 2. In other Major League Baseball news, Angels DH Jorge Soler and Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez each received 7-game suspensions for their part in a brawl Tuesday night. And there's just 3 games left for the Cleveland Cavs. They ran a 3-game winning streak into tonight's game with the Hawks. Tip comes your way at 7. This update brought to us by Germain Toyota. For unbeatable service and sales, visit Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road or online at germaintoyota.net. Breaking sports news, what happens on the Fan, Ohio Sports Destination.
Bring it up for Ohio State.
You've waited all day for this.
No, that team's stealing away. He's going to take it to the house. 85 yards. Down the right side going Devin Smith. Got it at the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown.
The one show that's nothing but the Buckeyes.
Oh, Brad Rucker for the touchdown. Kraft shoots it high on the right for 3.
This is the Buckeye Show.
You know, a lot of people say money doesn't solve everything. Money doesn't give you happiness. And when I saw a story today that Jeremiah Smith turned down other money, and a lot of money, to stay at Ohio State, that is some loyalty that you cannot buy. And I think we're all extremely happy to have Jeremiah Smith back in a Buckeye uniform. We'll talk about that. More shots at the SEC from another SEC player now in Columbus. We got Austin Ward. We got Josh Perry. He's Justin Zwick. I'm Matt Fontana. We got it all for you right here on the hour edition of the Buckeye Show. Jay-Z, how you living on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday?
Oh, it is beautiful, and I'm living good. It's nice to see the sunshine out. It's nice to walk outside and not freeze. And then we got some warmer weather coming down the pipe, so I'm feeling pretty good about the rest of the week. Got my first tea time of the season signed up, ready to go.
Masters Wednesday.
It's Masters Wednesday, so we got some great golf going. Yeah, a lot of good stuff happening. And spring ball is almost over, as crazy as that sounds. It feels like it just started, but we got one more week to go.
It is crazy to think about how fast it has gone for the spring for the Buckeyes, and it's been, you know, I don't know, Justin. It's not been without stories, because there have been stories of just talking, you know, some of the changes on the offensive line. You've got some of these stories coming out, you know, with the new recruits, the transfers coming in and things like that. But it's nice because you're just kind of, I think you're relaxed. Ryan Day and his crew, obviously well experienced at this point, brought in a great recruiting class. It's just kind of been nice and a little quiet. And I dare say that the story that came out today from On3 and Chris Lowe in his interview with Jeremiah Smith might actually be one of the bigger things of spring ball. So Chris Lowe, On3, he did an interview with Jeremiah Smith, and he just talked about the opportunities. Again, we live in an NIL transfer world. And Jeremiah said, he goes, I could have got $10 million easy if I had transferred somewhere else. But he said, that's not how I operate. And what power from this young man to sit there and say $10 million. And I think it's also, you know, Justin, it's like, we know where Jeremiah is going to go after this year, and we all wish him nothing but the greatest success when he gets into the NFL. He knows there's money coming his way. But I also, to the other side, like, he is that good. He could have taken this cash grab and still known that he could have gone, I don't mean to disparage some great MAC institution, but, like, he could have gone to Kent State and still probably been a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, just gone for the money grab. He said, that's not what I'm about. That's not how I operate.
Yeah, and it's refreshing in a way, right? You just have somebody who wanted to come and, you know, cement a legacy at Ohio State. You know, he wanted to be here because of the coach. You know, he got in, he got coached. They had a lot of success his freshman year. He realized, like, I want my name to mean something here in Columbus. And, you know, now $10 million is a big number. He's still making a big number, so it's not, you know, it's not like
he's making $1.
It's not like he stayed at Ohio State for $100,000. You know, it's like he's still making a decent amount of change. I would imagine.
If only we all could turn down $10 million.
It must be nice.
I don't need that 10. I'm just going to stay here and make my 8 or 9 or whatever, you know, it could be. But it's really refreshing to see, you know, somebody like that. Now he could have went, you know, to the MAC and been the first pick. It doesn't matter what he does. If he didn't play next year,
Correct.
they are going to come after him just because they know how special he is, and they've heard about him for a couple of years, and they've seen him for a couple of years and answer all those things. So it's really cool to see that, and you hope he goes out and has a great year this year, and all the good stuff, stays healthy, bunch of yards, bunch of touchdowns, all that, and he can just kind of send off and really put an exclamation point on his career here.
I would imagine there's two things standing out to him: national championship again, Blitnikoff, and let's call for what it is. He should have two already, but he doesn't.
Exactly.
It is what it is. Can't change that. I think there's something really special for him to be a two-time national champion, but I really think you might even ask him that Blitnikoff is number one. I don't mind that. I know that there's probably a lot of coaches, and I'm sure, Jay-Z, you're hearing some of your old coaches in your head right now when I talk about this.
Don't read the press clippings. Yeah.
Right, and individual versus
doesn't
team.
Yep. Doesn't matter,
all that. I never minded it because if you're striving towards your individual goals, usually you're going to bring the team along with you. And I'm not talking like stat padding. And also, I don't think he's going to win that award if Ohio State as a team is not very successful. I think that's a big part of major college football individual awards. So, and again, I guarantee you talk to Jeremiah, he wants to win a national championship. He wants to beat Michigan. He wants to win a Big Ten title again. But I'm sure that's on his mind too. And as he sat there and thought about it, I've got the money, but I've got these other opportunities that money can't buy, frankly, for me to try to go win that award. The relationships that I've built here, a chance to finish it out and go down as one of the best Buckeyes of all time, which is an incredible accolade in its own right. And, let's all.
I got a Heisman Trophy finalist coming back to be my quarterback.
Right.
Exactly. There's a lot of, it's great turning down money and staying loyal and wanting to have your name, but there's also, he's not dumb. He sees what's coming back. He saw what happened last year. He knows we got 4 starters on the offensive line back. We got our quarterback back, our freshman running back, 1,000-yard rushers back. Like, this is going to be a place where he's going to thrive. And the thing around that is just, how do they bring the rest of the offense around? Because everybody's going to want to put 2 guys on Jeremiah. They're going to game plan. So how do we use him? How do we continue to find different ways for him to touch the ball, right? Because every game he goes into, we got to think about how do we attack this to get the ball in his hands because he's that special.
And that's what I think about Chris Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, here comes another beast
but wait,
on
there's
the other
more.
side.
Yeah.
And see what he's done in spring ball to this point already. Like, to take some of that pressure off with Brandon Innes and some of the other returning guys, I think is an amazing thing for Jeremiah. And it feels good and it feels comfortable. And, let's call it for what it is. We all know who the school is. We all know the school that was hot and heavy after him.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand that was probably a draw. And he said, listen, I know I'm from South Florida. He goes, but I'm a Buckeye. He goes, I'm proud to be from South Florida. He is from there. That's his hometown, but he's a Buckeye. And I think that was just a great message to get across there. And I think that also just helps the program immensely, just calms it down. I think, frankly, John, I think that helps in recruiting.
Well, I think that does. I think the Chris Henry one helped even more just because it was so fresh with Hartline leaving and just getting that guy to say, you know what, it's still Ohio State. They still put out receivers. I'm still going to get coached really well and have a great receiver coach. So I agree. That all does help. And, it's just really cool to see because everything you hear about Jeremiah is just how hard he works, how grounded he is, how he's just, he's not your typical prima donna type guy who knows he's going to be a top 3 pick next year and that sort of thing. He grinds and he wants to be really good. And so when you hear, I'm coming back and, if he came out and said, I want to Blitnikoff, I don't care because we already know from coaches and from seeing him, he puts the work in. He's not one of those guys who's just all about me. Yes, he wants to go win this because he knows he's the best receiver in the country. It's not going to affect any way he gets ready for the games or gets ready for the season.
I wanted to sneak this in quick because we have Austin Ward coming up, Josh Perry as well. But just want to get your thoughts on Earl Little. So God, am I feeling Earl Little played for the Browns when I was watching them play. And I'm like, Earl Little Jr., his son, here we are.
Pretty wild, isn't it?
Isn't it crazy? So former not only Alabama Crimson Tide, but then played at Florida State. He's now in Columbus playing for the Buckeyes. And he made a little bit of news where he said at Alabama, we didn't compete in the weight room like we do here. And he said, with everything you're doing at Ohio State, you got to compete and you got to be at your best every single day. And that kind of comes off of James Smith's comments from Alabama, now again with Ohio State, where he was talking about the competition level and the speed in the Big Ten, maybe versus the SEC. I don't know, Jay-Z, I kind of look at it and I say, listen, these guys probably want to ingratiate themselves to some Buckeye fans, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for that. But I also got to imagine there's a little bit of truth to what they're talking about here.
Yeah, didn't James Smith say something about it? It felt like Saban-ish.
Yeah.
Coming to Ohio State. So, it's like I feel like, that itself is probably a little bit of this is how it maybe used to be or how I heard it was done at Alabama. But I love that pipeline, and I think Caleb Downs and Julian were probably guys like, you're talking to those guys, right? They know each other. Hey, what's it like up there, dude? It's so great. It's so different. It's so blah, blah, blah. Like, we're competing against everything. They think of it all. I imagine in this portal era, it's like when you have somebody, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get somebody from Florida State next year,
right,
how it works. Like, hey, this program is legit. The coaching you get here, just how they go about everything from study table to, the weight room to training table, the food you get, the nutritionist, everything. They've thought of it all. Not that other schools haven't, but Ohio State, I think, does a really, really good job of it. So it's really cool to hear the guys who come here, and yes, to a point, they probably do just want to make Ohio State fans, kind of like them a little bit. Like, hey, I'm a new guy, I'm going to say really nice stuff about everything, but there is truth behind it, I think, when you get those guys and they're being honest about, like, the differences in the programs that they were at before.
All right, coming up, Austin Ward's going to join us. We'll get his updates from spring ball. We'll get his thoughts on Jeremiah Smith's comments as well. Justin Zwick, Matt Fontana with you tonight for the Buckeye Show.
Wake up with the Fan. Eat lunch with the Fan. Go to bed with the Fan. Dream about the Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
Hi, I'm Josie. My daughter turns 5 today. Blow out the candles. I'm also an Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper. When you move over and slow down, you're not only giving me room to work, you're making sure I can get home to celebrate with my daughter.
Roadside workers have lives and families, but when they're on the job, they put it all on the line to protect and serve us. When you see flashing lights, remember, they're not just roadside workers. Thank you for moving over and slowing down.
Brought to you by ODOT, USDOT, NHTSA, and ODPS.
Do you want a job that is flexible, secure, and fun? It also offers excellent pay and is ranked as one of the best jobs in America, too. I'm talking about being a dental hygienist. And all you have to do is complete a 2-year program after high school. Visit ODA.org to learn more and to start helping people love their smile. This message is brought to you by the members of the Ohio Dental Association.
Toyota gives you the power of choice with the stylishly affordable Toyota Corolla. Now through May 4th, get 4.99 APR financing on a new 26 Corolla or Corolla Hybrid. Excludes GR and Corolla Cross models. Or lease a new gas-powered Corolla LE for $209 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Abbott in the Big Ten. 18 schools. One blood drive competition with a life-saving purpose. We give blood. This season, your one donation helps save up to 3 lives. And together, we saved over 200,000. But the need for blood never stops. So keep your sleeves rolled up. Keep giving blood. Keep saving lives. Visit big10.org/Abbott. to donate.
Attention Columbus. Town Properties just clinched the title of the largest residential property manager in Columbus, thanks to the Columbus Business Journal. With pride, we oversee 25,000 plus households in the Columbus metro area, ensuring fantastic places to call home. Whether you're on the hunt for an exceptional living space, a top-notch association management company, or a property manager for your multifamily portfolio, visit our website at town.properties.com and let us elevate your living experience. Town Properties, always managing great places to live.
Life is more fun with a pal. So is pizza. So check out Donato's $5 Pizza Pals menu. Order any large pizza and add your choice of a sub, salad, wings, dessert, and more for just $5 each. Order your favorite $5 Pizza Pals from Donatos.com today. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's. Gotta love more.
You're Your favorite fan shows are available as a podcast. What a concept. And don't miss exclusive podcast content like Austin and Burn. Listen on your schedule from anywhere in the world. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium, presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium Tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
This is Paul Keels for RV Wholesalers. Peace of mind, that's what you get when purchasing your next RV from RV Wholesalers. With every new RV purchase, Ohio residents receive the exclusive Buckeye Service Guarantee. If your RV is in the shop, RV Wholesalers will give you a free loaner. Also with a Buckeye Service Guarantee, you'll receive free delivery in the state of Ohio and 3-day RV exchange. That's the exclusive Buckeye Service Guarantee. Only at RV Wholesalers in Lakeview, Mansfield, Delaware, and RVW.com. RV Wholesalers, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We've got clear skies overnight tonight into Thursday morning across central Ohio, and this time temperatures stay above freezing overnight in the middle 40s. Thursday, a lot of sunshine. What a day. High temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Friday starts dry and sunny with a minor cold front sweeping in the afternoon hours with a 50% chance of some rain showers, but highs in the 70s. Saturday's dry and lots of 60s. That is your 97.1 The Fan weather forecast. I'm 10 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer.
If you still have a weird rash from jumping in Mirror Lake, we can be friends. This is the Buckeye Show.
Matt Fontana and Justin Zwick with you tonight here on the Buckeye Show, which will take you up till 7 o'clock. We're happy to bring in Austin Ward. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter at @AWardSports. Get all of his thoughts, Letterman Row. Austin, appreciate your time tonight. Happy Masters Wednesday to you, by the way. We were talking about that a little earlier on the show. It feels like we should all be playing golf today.
I can't believe Justin isn't. That's one of the all-time upsets. We've got a fun few days on tap down there at Augusta National, and still a fun few days of practice left for Ohio State in spring camp. Had number 10 this morning in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Talked to the defensive backs and Matt Guerreri and Tim Walton. So I don't think that the Masters was on the mind of any of the folks in there, but for us three, it definitely is.
Yeah, today's kind of boring anyways with just the par 3.
Right. Yeah.
So, I need to see Amen Corner to get really excited. You said you talked to the secondary today. Anything pop out of there? Just give us an update on what you're thinking. How's that shaking out? The whole secondary thing.
Yeah, I think really, really, really impressed with Earl Little. I think on the field, we'd seen him practice a handful of times. We saw him on Student Appreciation Day. We knew that he'd already had his black stripe removed. But today was the first time that he talked with any of us. And, whatever stock you want to put in press conferences is fine. But I like to see what kind of personality these guys have, how well they communicate. A bunch of new faces, on our end, asking random questions and people he's never met before. And he was dynamic in that setting, which carries over from the way that he has acquitted himself in the locker room and on the practice field. So checking every box, you can see why he's a culture fit. He's been at big programs before. He's got experience, and the way that both teammates and coaches are talking about him has been off the charts. But also, I really enjoyed getting to talk with him before and after that. I said, man, you really got to come out of your shell a little bit. Like he has cracking jokes. He was quick with a smile, and then also all business about, Jay-Z talking about how much he wants to get out in the horseshoe and how he's ready to go to war with his brothers. So he's, using that terminology, I think shows how quickly he's acclimated into Ohio State, into the culture, into the brotherhood, all those things. Now, we got 5 months until they play a game, so we'll see what fruit that bears when it comes to actual playing time. But he's going to be really important, and I thought it was great to hear from him for the first time.
So we actually talked about his comments about the weight room and how he said when he was at Alabama they didn't have the competition that Ohio State does. And I understand that, he and James Smith coming up from Bama, they've kind of had their commentary about Alabama or the SEC just kind of your thoughts and what did you read into Earl Little's comments about how things are different here and the competition level in Columbus?
Yeah, when you pair that with the way that James Smith talked early on in camp about he said it and he's like, I don't want to say it's less intense at Alabama, but it's less intense. And that's not I don't I know that lots of programs have success. Ohio State is not currently the reigning national champion. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but when I think about why this program has had the longevity and the consistent level of success that no other programs have really had, at least through the 15 years that I've covered Ohio State, and Justin can attest that it goes back much further than that. And I know that a lot of people listening know that that's true as well. But you look at the historical level of success, it is a product of the way that Ohio State is invested in the success constantly and bringing in good people, good coaching staffs, aggressive coaching staffs, Mickey Marotti's strength program, which is showing that it can withstand the test of time. And you see other programs trying to duplicate some of that. But, it's almost impossible to do that because it's an all-encompassing deal. And I think that's when you see, this has been a theme for the last several off seasons, whether it was C.J. Donaldson a year ago or Will Howard the year before that with the national championship, and Caleb Downs and Davis Nigbanosen, and then him telling Quinshawn Judkins and Tywan Malone about what it's like in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. The theory versus testimony conversation is very real. And these guys talk, especially in this free movement era. They want to be surrounded by like-minded players and by coaches and strength staffs that will get the best out of them. So I'm not saying any of that to be critical of Alabama. I'm not around that program. I don't know what they do on a day-to-day basis. But James Smith and Clay Rousseau and Caleb Downs and Earl Little, they've all seen that. They've all experienced it elsewhere. And I'll take them at their word that when they say it's different in there, we talk all the time about how successful that program and the mat drills and winter workouts and all that stuff is, how we see it up close on a day-to-day basis. And it's tough to compare to other places, but the experts all agree.
Just staying there, I know we got 5 months until the first game. You haven't been able to see a lot of practice, but you talked to a lot of people. Earl Little's, we've talked about him. Can he I don't even want to say it. Can he replace Caleb Downs? Does
the hardest question?
Yeah. Do you think the staff thinks this is a guy who can't not necessarily be Caleb Downs, but can handle things on the back end like Caleb did?
Yeah, it's funny. So Matt Guerrieri sat down at his table on the 10-yard line this morning. Jay-Z and James Laurinaitis walked in between it, and he said, "Hey, how do you replace Caleb Downs?" Because that's been the thing that everyone has been asked, including James earlier in camp, and obviously including Matt Patricia and Ryan Day and during Pro Day. That's the thing. You're in terms of one player with Caleb Downs' ability and intelligence and intangibles, that's not going to happen. And nobody is pretending that it is. They're not saying, well, the next generational safety is here. He's Earl Little, he's Jalen McLean, or he's Leroy Roker, or he's Terry Moore. They're not putting it in those terms. That wouldn't be fair to them, and it wouldn't be realistic to put that as much as the standard is the standard, that's not, some standards are unreachable. You're talking about Jeremiah Smith or Caleb Downs, we might be talking about one-of-ones in those regards. So I think where the optimism lies for Matt Guerrieri, for Tim Walton, for Matt Patricia, is that they believe that maybe there's more positional versatility. That's not to say that you couldn't have used Caleb Downs in every role, but he's only one guy. And I think last year, Jalen McLean, he did really well in one role, but they had him kind of narrowly defined into that. And Lorenzo Styles, we know as the nickel, that was basically all that you were going to ask him to do. A couple of years ago, they might have been closer to this with Jordan Hancock. And on the way to the national championship, we saw Jordan Hancock moving around to different spots, Lathan Ransom moving to different spots, and what that allowed Caleb Downs to do throughout the college football playoff. I think if you don't have maybe the absolute highest ceiling individually, you may be able to get close to what you can to that production level and disguise more coverages and confuse offenses by being able to use Jalen McLean, Leroy Roker, Earl Little, Terry Moore potentially, Blaine Bradford, interchangeably. And I think that's that's sort of the way that they're approaching it. They like the amount of depth they have. They approach this from a perspective that they needed more positional versatility when they were looking in the transfer portal and got more and little out of it. And so I think that they, we're 10 practices in, we're 2/3 of the way through spring camp, and I think they're looking at it and saying they did a pretty good job with their evaluations. The true test, obviously, is going to be in September, but all signs right now are very encouraging. It's just, I think you have to separate it. Is someone going to be Caleb Downs? No. Is that collective group going to be able to be BIA? I think probably so.
Austin, appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of spring ball, all right?
All right, will do. See you guys.
There you go. It's Austin Ward. Follow him on Twitter at @WardSports. And Justin, it's a great question because you had a generational type talent there, and you have brought in talent, and the question remains, how's this going to change? Like, Matt Patricia in his first year gave us, arguably one of the best first-year defensive,
yes.
Performances you could ever imagine from a coordinator. And a lot of that was predicated on the play of some guys that are going to be drafted very high in the NFL draft, and that's the beauty and curse of college. You got to replace these guys, and
that's what you hear Austin talk about. They feel pretty good about their evaluation of the guys they brought in and seeing them on the field. There's some optimism there, so that's good. And I didn't mean to say is he going to be replace him, but do they feel they can have that kind of general on the back end? Is kind of more what I'm thinking. It's having somebody who makes sure everybody's in the right spots and on the same page.
Yeah, and that's the part of spring ball here is get these guys on the same page. You replaced a lot in that secondary. Now, again, guys that have played, I am super excited to watch Devin Sanchez this year, and it's nice to return Jermaine Matthews. But, yeah, you're breaking in some new players in linebacker and across the whole defense, and that's all things that you got to have to work on. And the nice thing is about just specifically like a guy like Earl Little, a lot of these transfers you've played major college football before. And I think even the idea of knowing what Matt Patricia wants it to look like, Justin, I'm sure you guys that you played with, it's nice to have guys that know also what is expected. They don't show up and they just go, okay, coach, I know what this concept is. I know the scheme we're trying to run here. And to your exact point, kind of what Austin was talking about, having these guys in the field to know what it's going to take to make this thing work.
Yeah, and coming from just other programs, they've played, big football. They're older, more mature. You're not giving them that year to put some weight on or that sort of thing. You expect them to just jump right in, and I think the coaches have been happy so far with the new guys coming in and what they are trying to do. So
it's going to be fun. It is, and like I said, like Boston said, man, 2/3 of the way already through this. It's crazy to see time flying. All right, we discussed Jeremiah Smith. He had offers. You knew he was going to in the transfer portal. He turned them down. He's back to Ohio State. We'll get Josh Perry's thoughts on that in just 2 minutes right here on The Fan.
Working your way through that home projects list, that means more flushes, more showers, more fiddling with the thermostat. Trust the pros at the Waterworks with your plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling needs. Our certified pros can repair or replace your air conditioner or furnace. Clogs? Call the Waterworks. Drain issues? Call the Waterworks. Plumbing problems? Call the Waterworks. HVAC breakdowns? Call the Waterworks. The Waterworks. Trusted and certified plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling experts.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turn skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Come on over to Heartland and Join our family.
Now, getting ahead in this world is not as complicated as it might seem. Having the early guidance and counsel of your community banker, one who knows you and your family's story, can make a great deal of difference. Relationships matter. Bank on community banking. I'm Scott McComb, coming over to Heartland, where banking really feels good.
Where banking feels good.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource, proud to be your home for Ohio State Athletics. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Ryan Day's favorite radio show. Probably. Maybe. You're listening to The Buckeye Show.
I mean, how can it not be Ryan Day's favorite show? What is he going to say? T-Bone and Tyvus? Come on now. It's The Buckeye Show. I'm going to say it is. He's Justin Zwick. I'm Matt Fontana, and we're so happy to be joined by Joshua Perry. Of course, follow him on Twitter at Mr. Joshua Perry, NBC Sports. He's all over it. JP, appreciate your time tonight. Want to jump in with the Jeremiah Smith article that came out today in the interview, because Jay-Z and I were talking about it earlier, how powerful it is to have a player come out like Jeremiah Smith, who spoke to Chris Lowe of On 3, and he said, I could have made $10 million in the transfer portal and gone to another school with NIL. He goes, that's not how I operate. I want to stay in Columbus. I'm a Buckeye. Josh, just what do you think that says about the program? What do you think that says to maybe even future recruits when you have a guy like Jeremiah Smith turning down that level of money? We understand he's still making good money here in Columbus, but just the optics of something like that for him to stay here.
I appreciate you guys having me. I mean, the reality of the situation with something like that is it speaks to kind of the old school college football, why people went to certain programs. If you are in really any position, but particularly wide receiver with the run that they've had over the last handful of years, plus, like, why wouldn't you want to stay? You're going to catch the ball from one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You're going to be featured in an offense that can move it up and down the field with relative ease, and you're going to be developed in one of the best programs, and that's on the field, that's strength and conditioning, that is nutrition, that's recovery, that's every aspect of what it means to be a collegiate player. And as you mentioned, like, Jeremiah certainly isn't poor. It's not like, he turned down a ton of money. I'm sure they took care of him. But the idea is that if you're in a place where you can flourish and develop as a player, that's the place for you to be. And I think it should be a testament for recruits trying to figure out maybe where their destination is, guys in the transfer portal that are maybe looking for a better place to develop over their college career, but also just, I think it speaks to players in general too, of money isn't the only thing in the equation. And I hope that more players maybe start to realize that as they go through their collegiate journeys. You're going to get offers. You're going to get people who try to entice you. The reality of the situation, and we're going to be completely honest, is programs that maybe aren't the best fit are going to have to pay a little bit more to get you there. Is that the best for your career? That's the question guys should ask. But Jeremiah is cut from the right cloth. He's made of the right stuff. And it makes sense that he would want to finish out his career as a Buckeye.
I think another question should be asking, what does life after football look like for these guys? Mm-hmm. But, I think we've actually talked about that before. But have you been to spring practice yet? I didn't see you at the alumni day on Saturday, but there's a lot of people there, and I may have missed you. If you have, has anybody stood out? Or if you haven't, what are you hearing from your inside sources?
So I did a nice little Wednesday schmooze today.
You got the old Wednesday practice, huh?
Yeah. Yes, made it out today. It was good. Guys look good. I'll say this, is there was a question, we were talking about wide receivers a second ago, with Tarnell leaving, about how you backfill that room. Of course, Jeremiah is going to be the feature player in there. Brandon Innes is a veteran leader of the team. You expect him to take on more of a role, but what does the rest of that room look like? And frankly, it feels like they haven't dropped off whatsoever. And you got the couple of transfer players that have come in. They look pretty good. And then you've got, freshmen as well that look good at that position. So I think they're in good hands. Today was kind of a more, say, workman-like, grinded out kind of day, a day for the defense, if you will. And the thing I would say about that whole group and replacing a lot of players, it's a very athletic defense. I mean, you look at the bodies that they'll have up front, a little bit more twitch on the interior. They've got great length and great athleticism on the edges. I think the linebacker room maybe doesn't have the top end, but they certainly have a little bit more depth than what they had a year ago, and the secondary can run. The thing for that group, I think, is coming together and really starting to gel. with all the losses that they have, a chemistry that they need to create to replicate the type of defense that they had a year ago. So that would be the thing. And then the last thing I'll say is they're working hard over there at the Woody. And it's one of the most difficult things, I think, if you're a coach right now, is how do we get a bunch of freshmen going, because everybody's an early enrollee these days? How do we get a bunch of transfers going? And how do we keep the edge with some of our veteran guys that played, but we don't want to be too tough on their bodies? And just seeing the accountability and the way that they're being coached and the grit that's going on in the Woody right now is a good look for them. So really good day. Like I said, very workmanlike, one of those grinded out kind of days. But I think from a roster standpoint, it is what you would expect from Ohio State football. And now it's the growth and the accountability and the getting better so you can be ready to go early in the season.
Talking with Josh Perry here on the Buckeye Show, Matt Fontana, Justin Zwick. And actually, I kind of have a question for both you guys because I have an offensive player, I've got a defensive player. So, Josh, I'll start with you. As spring ball starts to wrap up, is there something on the defensive side that you just really say that's got to be on lock or that needs to be the focus? I understand schemes can change, players can change, but is there something on defense? It could even be something really small that you guys really, really wanted to accomplish every year in spring ball.
Yeah, I think for us defensively, there were a couple of things. Number one, it's effort and establishing the culture on the defensive side of the ball. And that means on days where you can't tackle to the ground, are you finishing to the football? It means on days where you can tackle to the ground, are you making sound tackles? Are you taking good angles? Are you trying to be disruptive around the ball, trying to punch it out, things of that nature? That would be number one. Number two is with all the base install that goes in, you want to make sure that with all the groups and all the different personnel, this is where you're trying guys out in different spots and maybe different groupings. What is the communication like from when you get the call now in the helmet comms? It used to be signals, but when you get the call into the defense, what's the communication like? Can you set the front? Can you make the adjustments? Is everybody in the back end seeing the same thing that people in the front are seeing? I think communication starts at this part of the year. So those would probably be the two things. It's really the fundamental aspect of setting the tone effort-wise and finish-wise for a defense, but also the fundamentals of how you want to communicate so everybody's on the same page for when you execute.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with the fundamentals and just the communication because right now we're dealing with it. We got two starters on the offensive line who are out for the rest of spring ball, right? So you have a hodgepodge almost of just younger guys who you're wanting to see what they can do. So when you're on, when you go with the ones, Julian's looking at this offensive line saying, "This isn't my offensive line." But we just want to make sure they are talking correctly. They're blocking who they're, even though if they don't block them, they're going after the right guy. We just want to make sure during camp or during spring ball that we have all this nailed down. We are getting a good sense of what the offensive play calling is, why we're calling it, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. It may not be the same people that are in there, but we just want everybody to be on the same page and really getting that basic understanding of what this offense is trying to look like or what we're trying to accomplish as we move into the season. But just the communication, I think is huge because this is that time of the year where you have some of those mess ups and you kind of learn from those as you're getting, from the huddle to the line of scrimmage, the play clock, any kind of checks you have on the line of scrimmage as a quarterback. You just want to make sure all that stuff is right here. Boom, you have it. You see a guy on the edge. All right, I know I'm not going there. I'm coming over here. And you have the time at the line of scrimmage to make that. So you just, those types of things. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy right now because one, you got so many new guys. You got half the team is new, so you're trying to figure out everybody and what they're able to do. But two, you just want to make sure we're getting them and bringing them along. The communication, the fundamentals of what we try to do and how our practices go, and just all the nuances of what being at Ohio State is like.
Yeah, and especially to be able to
piggyback real quick, if I can.
Yeah.
But the part about spring too is you can slow it down, and you can teach on the field if you need to. You can create extra teach periods, extra walkthrough at the beginning, extra teach periods at the end. You can stop a drill and communicate if you really have to. Whereas in the fall, everything is so game plan specific, and we're getting ready for Saturday. And if you're a 2 or a 3 and you're not getting it right, they're just moving you down the depth chart. You're just not going to play on Saturday. Yeah. And so this is really the time of the year where a coach can slow things down, really talk about it on the field, take it into the meeting room, bridge those things together, and that's how you build the base up.
And that's exactly, I think it's a great point too, Josh, because again, when you get to that, you don't have time for those mess ups. We're into camp. We got to get ready for the season. We're off to the race. JP, I always appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon here on the Buckeye Show, all right?
All right. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
There he goes. Josh Perry joining us today. I'm so glad to have him on too, Justin, because obviously you're great on the offense and he with the defensive side, and you guys both brought up communication, which is key. And I think it can get lost even sometimes on defense because offensively, sure, it's a long play call. There's protection. There's hot routes. There's all these different things. Defense, I think now most people have a pretty good understanding that the defensive calls, I don't think will ever
not
be
as long. Yeah,
I don't think they're ever as complex, but they're more complex than they used to be.
Yes.
Not just, hey, cover 3, Sam blitz. Okay, got it. Here we go. But it'll never be the 15-word salad.
No, it's not that. And you remember you got new guys coming, so the play calls, the huddles, everything is different for them, right? So that first day of the huddle, like, at Alabama, we used to do this. So like, well, no, you're here now.
Okay, let me ask you real quick. How much with the vocabulary and terminology? Because I hear about that even sometimes on the pro game where players come to a new team and they go, I had to flip in my brain. Like, we called that something else. Like, we called that razor there. Here we call it this. Like, how much of that can be a factor?
There's a lot of that. And it's just getting the understanding of, all right, when you've been in enough offenses, you understand, all right, you have concepts. You got your curls, you got your flats, but we called it fish at Ohio State. But somewhere else they may call it hooks or, whatever. So you just kind of got to forget what you knew, know what they're trying to go after, and then you play a game in your head where it's just like, all right, memory. This now is called this, and this is how we go. And then you just, repetition and being in the playbook, you understand it. But you see things, you just got to realize, all right, it's a different word now, and you go with it. And it's just something that you learn to deal with.
All right, coming up, Nate's got the college football pulse, couple things from around the league, if you will. We'll send you off. Buckeye Show. Stay with us.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan. Get Eco.
ECO. Aaron?
Yeah, Jerry?
Something is wrong.
Something's wrong?
Yeah, it's definitely something.
Get Eco.
ECO. Thumping and bumping and jumping.
What is?
But it's not pumping.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Jerry?
Yeah, Aaron.
Are we talking about your sump pump?
Yeah. Isn't it great?
Isn't what great?
I like the sound of it. Sump pump. Sump pump, sump pump, sump pump.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Jerry, can you keep a secret?
Aaron, I'm as silent as a bank vault in Switzerland.
I kind of like to say it too.
Hey, I should invent a sump pump that lets you know when it's working.
How would it do that?
It would say, sump pump, sump pump, sump pump.
That's a great idea, Jerry, but a sump pump should be exactly like you.
How so?
As silent as a bank vault in Switzerland.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
GetEco.com.
Need a roof you can count on? Ramos Roofing has protected homes and businesses throughout Ohio for almost 20 years. Whether it's a leaky roof, storm damage, new siding, or new gutters to protect your foundation, Ramos Roofing delivers quality materials, professional installation, and honest service every time. Get your free roof or exterior assessment today and ask about Ramos Roofing's no-interest financing options. Call 614-761-7663 or visit online at ramosroofingohio.com.
Breathe. You got this. You got this.
In the moments that truly matter, what do? Rise to the occasion. Ohio Health. It's time.
All your favorite fan shows are on YouTube, along with those fake YouTube ads like Chew This Gum and It Grows New Teeth. Experience the splendor of Bo sitting in his closet, Timmy Hall's gouty gold chains, and Matty Ice wearing a coat in 90-degree weather. It's all there. Head to YouTube and subscribe today.
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
From the first whistle to the final play, being a Buckeye fan calls for commitment and support. Nature Made vitamins are your winning play. from the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Nature Made is made to care for fans on game day and every day, so you can go all in on big wins, tough losses, and still show up for your team every time. Nature Made, proud vitamin and supplement sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Hosting a passionate crew of Buckeye fans? Revamp your rec room for an epic watch party with power reclining sofas, massaging recliners, entertainment centers, and coffee tables from Bob's. They even have sofas with drop-down tables for snacks and bevs. Shop in-store or online to score big on an incredible game day setup at Bob's everyday low prices. Bob's Discount Furniture, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. It's time for the College Football Pulse on the Buckeye Show.
Sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
All right, we got the Pulse. Matt Fontana, Justin Zwick. We bring in Nate Puderball. He has the College Football Pulse. Nate, what you got?
What's going on, gentlemen? Notre Dame, of course, are also in spring ball right now, and they might be looking a little too much in the pass. They've been having a few interviews going on. Cornerback Leonard Moore says the Irish are on a revenge tour in 2026. Cornerback C.J. Carr says it's impossible not to think about facing Miami this year. And linebacker Drake Bowen said the team watched their reactions from Selection Sunday on the first day of practice. Marcus Freeman responded saying, "We spend too much time daydreaming about Miami. We're going to lose to Wisconsin." They talking a little bit too much about last year?
Yeah. I mean, you also declined to go to a bowl game as well, and that ticked everybody off. So, it's so interesting that Notre Dame, I mean, Justin, again, you're from Ohio, I'm from Ohio. Like, the Midwest, there's something about growing up, you root for a team that's in your vicinity or the team that you go to or things like that. But I feel like everybody's a Notre Dame fan. Like, there may not be number one, but they're usually like 3 or 4 on your list. And this is like some villainy stuff coming out. This is like we're going to go on this revenge tour. Everybody's against us. Like, no, nobody's against us. You lost your first 2 games of the year and didn't have a top 20 win outside of, like, the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Of course you got left.
And the last, 2 or 3 years, they've lost 1 or 2 bad games at the beginning of the year, right? I mean, so we always just forget about that at the end of the year, though, and we're supposed to. And I'm not one of those that has Notre Dame in my top 5 of teams at all. I don't care. I want Marcus to do well because I like Marcus.
Sure,
and I mean, he was awesome. I want them to do well, but I'm not rooting for him. Go to a bowl game last year, in my opinion. It is what it is. You didn't have the wins to get into the playoff. Now, all of a sudden, this year, because of the rule, they have a shot if they, I forget how it goes.
If they're in the top 12, they're automatically
in the top 12. So
they can't get left out, like, quote unquote left out again. But
leave it in the past. Let's move forward. Now, I don't know if he wants the new guys coming in to feel that pain of what they went through last year or what they, think they went through last year, but
Indiana bringing the victory tour to South Bend a week ago was pretty great.
Yeah. And I mean,
rub that in as much as possible if you're Indiana, no doubt about it.
Right, and I trust me, I'm not really following Notre Dame all that much either. I've not heard big splashes of them in the transfer portal. Like, again, I know Carr is back, and
their big splashes came from Columbus, Ohio, or at least one of them.
One of them,
yeah.
But you also, I mean, again, you went 10-2 last year, and your best wins, again, you lost to Miami, you lost to Texas A&M. They beat 20th ranked USC and 22 Pitt. Like, you're not going to make it. So,
and they ranked Pitt 22 just so they'd have a top 25 matchup that week, in my opinion.
go fix your schedule first, guys. You know, like that's you want to start looking on this other stuff. Get into a conference.
How about get into a conference?
Right,
That is, get into the Big Ten. Let's just forget about this independent stuff. It's not like it was back in the day where you had your TV deal and you're the only one on every Saturday. Get with the times. Get with the Big Ten. It makes so much sense. I mean, we have the West Coast in the Big Ten, and we don't have Notre Dame, who's right there. It's mind-blowing.
Our friends over at CBS Sports decided to rank every Power 5 quarterback heading into the season.
Let me guess, Arch is number 1.
Their top 5. Darian Mensah at Miami at number 5. Trinidad Chambliss of Ole Miss at number 4.
Don't get me started.
The greatest quarterback ever, Arch Manning, is 3.
He's 3. Wow.
Julian Sayin number 2, and Dante Moore number 1.
That is surprising. I cannot believe they had 2 Big Ten quarterbacks ahead of Arch.
And that's like and Nate, I'm not putting that in the article. Is this like this season coming up?
Yes, they literally printed it today.
Well, I mean, like, is the draft, like what the NFL people think of them getting influenced on this? Are you talking about just on the college football season coming up?
Just on the college football season coming up.
So then I will tell you that I like Dante Moore a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see him when he comes out of the draft next year. He's not my number 1. He's not. Like, if I had a draft of quarterbacks to play for my team, I might put Arch 1. I might actually do.
Yeah,
like, Sayin is right there, too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm picking Dante Moore first for that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they're all good quarterbacks. I mean, was Julian the only one that was at the Heisman last year?
Of those ones, yeah.
Of those coming back, yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, the accuracy that Julian possesses is something out of this world, or at least what he showed last year, and I expect that to only get better. You know, Dante is a good player. Everybody just loves they love Oregon for whatever. I'm surprised Julian even made the top 5 because usually they just hate Ohio State so much they don't put us up there at all. But
no,
that's just a tough call.
It is because there's also that bias with obviously what they did last season. Of those teams, I don't think anybody's quite well as equipped as Ohio State coming back this year either. And I get that this is a quarterback. It's not related to this necessarily, this ranking, but...
Yeah, but as good as your team is, the better you're going to be, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's how it always goes.
Exactly. And this year is going to be a really fun year because, again, like just related to the draft, it's been a down couple of years where you haven't had... It's been a few years since the 5 quarterbacks go in the top 13 and things like that. And I don't know, JZ and Nate, I enter this draft coming up thinking a lot about that.
It's a big quarterback draft, they say, right?
You expect it, but they also said this was going to be a huge one. Garrett Nussmeier was going to go one, and Cade Klubnik's a lock, right, for the first round.
True.
And Drew Aller. Okay, that's not the world we live in, but I do think about that group and specifically some of those guys on that list that Nate mentioned, thinking about the draft and just how much this season is going to be surrounding and hyped around those guys. I guess my roundabout way is saying that gets me more excited for the season. Like, I love the game of football, and I like running backs and receivers, but when you got a lot of quarterbacks and you expect them to be dueling it, and you know they're in the same conference, and you expect them to meet in the playoffs, like, that just gets me so
Yeah, we know
jazzed.
Julian's going down to Texas to see Arch, early in the season. So those big matchups, the big quarterback matchups, always fun to see. So I'm glad we do have a lot of good quarterbacks coming back this year on good teams too. So they should be, out there putting up big numbers, and we'll see where the chips fall. But yeah, your point about last year is true though. Drew Aller, the kid from Clemson, like none of that panned out.
They have 4 quarterbacks from the Big Ten in the top 10. That hasn't happened in a while.
The Big Ten, the last 3 national champions in football, and now we got women's and men's basketball. It's amazing what happens when
hockey here in a couple of days.
It's amazing what happens when everybody's allowed to pay these guys.
Yeah, and that is it's a great point, Nate, because you used to think of running backs coming out of the Big Ten, and then there was
it's not known for quarterbacks really, right?
Was never really, and there was, specifically about Ohio State, there was that knock where everybody would point and say, well, like, Justin Fields isn't paying out in the NFL, or who's been the last long-term starting quarterback to come from Ohio State. And I can turn around and kind of say the same thing about Alabama. Where's Mac Jones?
You say that about a lot of programs.
Sure, and that's where it is crazy to think about that specific position. And yes, Ohio State, wide receiver and you could look at even, Wisconsin, how it comes to mind for good running backs. They always seem to turn out good running backs. Or this school has a lot of edge rushers. Quarterback is not bad. There's not one school that you really sit there and say, these guys just churn out quarterbacks, because I think it is so prospect dependent on who the player is.
Well, and it's a lot of depending on what you have, right? And so you get these guys going number one in the draft, and it's like, well, why are you going number one in the draft? Because they were bad last year, and their quarterback is no longer there because he got hurt, or, whatever it is. So, the situation you go into, the coaching, all that matters. And that's why we see guys like Sam Darnold all these years later going out and winning a Super Bowl and looking really good doing so. Because a lot of that, all that other stuff does matter. But that's also why you see these teams taking swings on quarterbacks all the time, because you just don't know when you're going to hit and find that one.
And the NIL changing things where Dante Moore probably would have gone to the NFL last year. Was he maybe ready for that? Maybe not. Who knows? The idea of guys wanting to stay to polish things up in the pros, I am a firm believer that is going to in turn help the NFL, because if you have more polished quarterbacks, more ready guys to come into the league where you're not chewing up and spitting them out every 3 years and redrafting here and there, guys are willing to stay in college more because of the money that's there. They're able to enter the NFL a little bit better off. Great stuff tonight, Justin. Always a pleasure,
always,
man. Love
brother.
doing the show with you. Nate, appreciate it as well. We got the Inside Edge coming up. Nice win for the Jackets last night. We'll keep that going. The Inside Edge coming your way next right here, 97.1 The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my